Alright guys, let me cue the music, and there we go. Alright, I got the music back, but there we go, I think that should do it. Alright, yeah, it's probably a little bit more quiet. I don't want it to come echoing into the background, so we're just gonna go with that. Hopefully it's enough. Let's collect all that. Check this. Nothing entertaining. I don't even have much mana to go around for that anyways. But we are doing the second episode of Monster Analysis, which happens to be the Nine-Tailed Foxes. Let's check them out. Alright. First one is Shiwa. Alright. Let's look at our abilities. First skill, attacks an enemy 3 times with a shimmering light. Each strike has a 15% chance to inflict continuous damage for 3 turns. Okay, that's a small chance to land, but hey, it's a 3-turn dot, so that's not too bad. It's not too bad at all if you can get decent enough accuracy for it to land. Second skill, puts the enemy to sleep for two turns. Sorry, I was about to say 3 turns, but it's 2 turns. This effect will break when the enemy receives damage. The skill receives a 50% additional accuracy. Alright. And attacks the enemy 5 times with a ball of light. Recovers 50% of the damage dealt and leaves branding effect. Enemies with a branding effect receive 25% increased damage. Alright. So, let's talk about where we can use Shiwa. The primary place to use Shiwa would be Necro. I think she is quite excellent for Necro. She's got 3 hits here, 5 hits here. The second skill is kind of a waste in Necro. Like, what's the point of even having a sleep against something that can't be really put to sleep? This ability was clearly made more geared towards Arena, because back in the day, that's probably what they thought they were making her for. But nowadays, yeah, she wasn't even really that good for Arena or such back then. Nowadays, yeah, I'd say just pretty much Necro. You got 3 hits here, 5 hits here. Continuous damage for 3 turns, that's pretty nice. And then a branding effect, which is kind of a rare effect to have, honestly, at this point in time in the game. There's not a whole lot of branding going around. I mean, you got some of the assassins with it, you got Shiwa with it, you got a couple other monsters here and there with it. But, yeah, I mean, you're likely not going to find any other, that I can think of, any other monsters for Necro that will brand. There might be 1 or 2, I can't think of any at the moment. But yeah, Shiwa, pretty great. Excellent for Necro. This leader skill can be good for Necro as well if you're building a mostly fire-based Necro team. Definitely good. We'll get you 3 Necro B10 easily. There's plenty of teams around that use Shiwa, integrate her into the Necro team. I wouldn't say she's really entirely that good anywhere else. I wouldn't use her in any of the other dungeons necessarily. I mean, maybe dragons, but at that, there's probably still better options. I wouldn't use her in raids. I wouldn't use her in arena. Except maybe for the leader skill. Probably not, though. Maybe you can use her in Guild Wars if you really just are you don't have very many good nukers for Guild Wars. I know this skill can still hit somewhat hard. I'd still recommend against it, but, you know, that's up to you. But for the Necro build, I would say Violent Revenge, and you just want to go all out on damage. Attack, crit damage, attack, probably. Should do it. You want good HP subs, good defense subs, enough to where she can survive, you know. Anyways, let's move on to the next one, which is Soha. Soha, you guys already should know that I use Soha. I love Soha. I use her nowadays as my water AoE nuker in arena occasionally, although she has, you know, mediocre runes, so not Not as much anymore. I usually use Tosi instead. But that's really just because her rune quality is kind of messed up. Eventually I'll get back to using Soha. I need to find her better runes. She just doesn't cut it right now for me. But I still love Soha. She was my go-to for the longest time. She's a great monster if you pull her, especially early. Let's look at her skills. First skill, attacks enemy 3 times, Shimmering Light. Each attack has a 10% chance to freeze the enemy. Even though it's such a low percent chance, it seems to land more than you'd think, honestly. You'd think it would land, like, next to never. But mine lands, I swear, at least a third of the time. Up to half a time, maybe. Sometimes it looks like it's just landing every time, even that. It's a pretty good skill, I like it. Let's go to the second skill. Soul Snatcher. So throws soul beads at the enemy to deal damage. Wow, I'm not talking very well right now. Throws soul beads at the enemy to deal damage and recovers the same amount of the inflicted damage as HP. This is basically, if you're building Soha as a nuker, did I just say nooker? Oh god. If you're building her as a nuker, this is gonna give her a full heal pretty much. Just full heal. It's like a 470% multiplier, I think. It's enough to do like 25, 30k damage, maybe, depending on your runes. So usually I use this to just completely wipe something like a Veramos. If I really just don't want to deal with that Veramos, instead of AoE nuking, I'll just use this, select out the Veramos, try to delete him, you know. That's what I usually do with that skill, or I use it to, you know, heal her back up. Self-sustain. Third skill. Alright, inflicts damage to all enemies and removes beneficial effects on all enemies. It's a 100% chance. It lands very well. I used to use her as my main AoE stripper, but then I got Praha, and I was like, okay, I want to use Praha as my AoE stripper now. Sorry, so you're gonna turn into a nuker, but then I kind of made her less of a nuker, sort of. So yeah, but I mean, so per se, if you want to use her as a stripper specifically, which most people do, then for runes it's a little complicated. So most strippers you usually go Despair with, you'd think, right? Well, with Soha, doesn't really work that way, because unlike Chiwu or Praha or Juno or Aquila, the damage from the strip comes before you actually take off debuffs. So if you build Despair, now correct me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty 90% sure this is how it works. If you build Despair and you're per se using it to strip off the buffs of a Chloe, you're not going to be able to do the stun, because the stun is going to try to come before you take off the effects. So just a disclaimer there. So instead of Despair, I would highly recommend you try to go for more of a damage build. Try to do it with Rage or Fatal runes. And you want her to move before your AoE Defense Breaker and your nukers and such. That's basically with any stripper, you always want them to move right before your Defense Breaker and your nukers. But yeah, instead of Despair, try to find another option, unless I'm actually incorrect on this. I'm not 100% sure that's how it works. I've never tried my Sohan Despair, but I am pretty 90% sure that there's some merit to that. Someone maybe can clarify in the comment section whether that is incorrect or not. But yeah. Otherwise, if you want to use her as a nuker, which is what I do, then you just want to do Fatal Blade, Rage Blade, make her sure she goes after your AoE Defense Breaker. Try to get her damage up as much as you can. Instead of Fatal, Rage, and Blade, you know, maybe you can do Revenge. I've thought about this for a while now. So, you got this first skill, it freezes, and it freezes pretty decently. Even my Soha has like 20 something accuracy. It's minimal. She still seems to freeze quite a good deal, so if she can like revenge and do that, it's not too bad. Not too bad at all. You can also, yeah, she's also useful as a farmer. Just another thing to put out there. But yeah, so she's pretty great. If you get her, not everybody needs her. She's not irreplaceable, but she can do her job pretty well. So, anyways, yeah, she's probably best for Arena, and she's pretty decent in Guild Wars as well. I would definitely say probably Rage or Fatal with Revenge if you can do that. But if you need more crit rate, then yeah, obviously go Blade. If you need Will Runes, then get Will Runes. You know, all up to you. It's preference. Let's move on to the next one. We don't want to take too long. Soha over there. Alright, Aran. Here's another one of the Ninetales that I actually use myself. And I have a lot to say about Aran. I'm going to try to wrap it up faster. But let's get on to it. First skill, attacks enemy 3 times with Shimmering Light. Each strike has a 15% chance to increase the enemy's chance of landing and glancing hit for 2 turns. And then we don't need to read this over again. This is the same thing as Soha's skill, self-sustain. And then third skill, attacks the enemy and decreases their attack speed, attack power, and defense for 2 turns. Whoa. So what do I think Aran is good for? Well, mostly everything. Not everything, of course, but Aran is probably one of the more flexible units in the game. I mean, obviously there's like units like Bella where they're going to be more flexible anyways. But Aran's pretty flexible. I like Aran a lot. I use my Aran in Giants B10. I'm going to be using her in Necro B10. I used to use her in Guild Wars a lot, not so much anymore. And I use her in raids. And she's excellent for all 4 of those places. That's why I think Aran is actually the best Ninetales, and she's the most easily to obtain one because you can just fuse her. Great for an early player. She can do wonders for early game. And so, now let's talk about how she's good in Giants. I use her in Giants in place of Shannon. Now let's think about this. Shannon brings the glancing hit, the AoE speed break, right? And then she also buffs all your allies. So what does Aran do? She does the glancing hit as well. There's kind of less of a chance to do it, but she does it pretty frequently. Just like I was talking about with Soha, she seems to always land it. Maybe it's because of the fact that there's 3 different times that 3 different chances for her to land it, you know. So you got the glancing hit covered there. And you got the speed here for at least the boss. Not so much the other mobs. That's a little let down, somewhat. But it still works. But instead of the attack power and defense buff that Shannon gives the team, she decreases the attack power and defense of the boss itself. Now, why do I use Shannon or Aran over Shannon? The main reason is flexibility. And it's a lot easier to rune Aran. Shannon has such low base HP, it is just a hassle to get her the runes to where she can work. Especially for like early game players. Like a lot of early game players that I've recommended to build Shannon, they've been having a lot of troubles, you know, trying to get the right runes to where she can actually take the hits. Because her low base HP. And it's just kind of difficult to work with. Whereas Aran has more base HP. She's got more HP to go around. She has a lot less defense is the one downside to that. But I mean, you can get the subs. You can get enough HP to make up for the defense. And I don't think Shannon's defense is that high. Is it? I don't even remember. Anyways, Aran is great for Giants. She works perfectly. She has 4 different debuffs, and this is a 100% chance to land on the Sweet Talk. And it also hits pretty darn hard. Now, then, let's talk more about the flexibility. You can use her in Necro too. You got 3-hitter right here with the glancing hit, and you got the 3 debuffs here that are great for the Necro boss. And then, you know, Soul Snatcher, and she has the leader skill if you want to build, per se, a win-based team. She also works well in raids. Like I said, 3 debuffs, 100% chance to land, and then she has the glancing hit. All 4 of these debuffs are great for raids. Usually, I use her in my raids backline, and she will definitely keep me up in the assists. Usually, I'm number 1 in assists, less in damage. I'm actually usually last place in the damage area. But when it comes to assists, all the effects that I land, I bring the effects. And Auron is the main reason why. I bring 4 different effects, and they're all great. She works fantastically in raids in the backline. Her defense is a little lackluster. I actually run defense slot 2 with her. It barely gives her much more defense. But the main reason I run that is because it had good accuracy, and you know, I make it work. It works. I don't know how well Auron could work past Raid 3, maybe Raid 4. I don't think she can work Raid 5. I'm not sure. Just her low base defense isn't that good for the last raid, in my opinion. Maybe people work it. I don't know. I haven't gotten there myself, but you know, early off in the earlier stages of raids, she can do wonders there. She's absolutely amazing in 1 through 3 for sure. Then again, you don't really want to build things for 1 through 3. The main thing I would say are Necro, Giants, and you can use her in raids. She's an option for raids, let's say that. And per se, if you don't want to use her in all that PvE stuff and you want to build her as a nuker, it works. Sweet Talk does insane damage. It's like a 705% multiplier. She can totally do 50k damage around there. Nuke something just out of the abyss. That person's gone. You got a Veramos you want to deal with? Oh, buy Veramos. Buy whatever else. Escher? Well, maybe. Either way, she's great for that too. You can totally build her standard attack runes if you'd like to for Guild Wars. Was I saying raids instead of Guild Wars? I know I was talking about raids before Guild Wars. I don't know, clarification, I'm talking about if you want to build Fatal Rage with Blade and whatnot, that's for Guild Wars build. Now, if you want to build her for dungeons, I'd say you want to go Violent Revenge, especially if you're going to be using her Necro. You want Violent Revenge. Get her a decent attack, decent crit rate, decent HP, you know, do those kind of work. Same thing as I said with Xihua, basically, and you should be set. She's a great monster. I think highly underrated, and she's easy to gain. If you're an early player, you're going to love her, more than likely. I can't guarantee that, but I loved her when I was early game. I still love her now for my Giants B10 runs. Anyways, let's move on. Chami, in my opinion, is the worst of the Ninetales. I really thought about it. I was like, where can you actually use Chami that she does so better than others? The closest thing I could come up with is Guild Wars, but at that, she's still replaceable. Chami is a toy. Not many people have her. Nobody needs her. She's a toy. She's the epitome of a toy. She can do her job, but that's about the extent to it. There's nothing game-changing about her. If you pull her, she's not gonna like totally make you this OP player or anything. Let's look at her skills. Attacks the enemy 3 times with the Shimmering Lights check. Has a 30% chance to deter the enemy's HP recovery. Okay. HP recovery debuff. Soul Snatcher, same thing as Soha and Auron. And Reincarnate. Removes all harmful effects on yourself. Okay, well, covers your HP to the full amount. Okay. And increase your attack and defense for 3 turns. Self-buffing, self-cleansing, well, to an extent self-cleansing. You're still not going to be able to get any disability effects off, but that's, oh well. You can still get off the attack, like a glancing hit. If you have that, you can use that to remove this. Full heal. She has basically 2 skills that'll full heal her, because you're going to build her as a nuker. The best place you can do her is Guild Wars, most likely what you're going to build her for. I don't know. Yeah, I don't think she's really worth anywhere else. Except for Guild Wars, but there's better options in Guild Wars you can get out of 2 stars and 3 stars for nukers. Like, for example, I'd say the Light Imp can do, well, definitely does more damage than her. Has less sustain, has less survivability. I mean, if you build her as a toy, you might enjoy her in Guild Wars. As a for fun monster exclusively. Because honestly, you're not going to want to build her in Arena. A single target nuker is the last thing you need in Arena. She's not particularly doing enough for Necro, in my opinion. I mean, if you don't have any other options, then, I mean, she can work in Necro. I wouldn't use her in Necro if I got her now. Not really good for Giants, not really good for Dragons, not really good for TOA. This is all Guild Wars. It's all you're really gonna build her for if you build her. If you get her, congrats. She's definitely rare. I'll give you that. Not many people build her. But yeah, I think she needs a buff. She got a buff a little while ago. I think she didn't used to. Did she used to cleanse? Well, did they either added on the cleanse or the self-buffing idea? I think it was the self-buffing actually. But yeah, she still needs another buff. She's just not doing enough. She even got a buff to this, more effects. It's her kit that's wrong. Honestly, it might be more workable if she had higher base attack, but her base attack is really low. She's gonna be sitting around 700-ish something attack after you 6-star max level and awaken her. So it's just not that impressive. But yeah, I'd say she's a toy. If you want to build her, I'd say standard attack rules. Fatal Rage Blade, you know, all that stuff. Whatever you can do to get her to do the most damage as possible. She's got 2 skills that fully heal her, one that has a high cooldown. I think that might come down to 6 turns or 7 turns, I don't know. I don't have a Chami, as I said, so I can't really check for you. Yeah, I think this comes down to 3 turns. But yeah, that's Chami. Now, let's go on to Kamiya. Kamiya. I think Kamiya is actually not that bad. If I were to get her, I'd gladly build her. I'd build her for Guild Wars. I don't think she's going to be useful anywhere else. Just like Chami, except for, I think Kamiya actually does it decently. I think she's actually made more geared towards something rather than Chami, who's just this randomly survivable tank of a nuker. Alright, so let's look at the skills. Attacks an enemy 3 times with Shimmering Light and recovers 50% of your HP of the damage. Okay. So every Ninetales has some form of self-sustain, in case you didn't notice. The Water, Wind, and Light, they all have their second skill, Soul Snatcher. The Fire one has her third skill. And this one has to have it on her first skill, of course. Anyways, that's kind of cool, I guess. Not as cool as the other effects, but let's look at her second skill. Same skill as the Fire one. It puts to sleep for 2 turns, has a 50% chance, additional accuracy to the skill. So that's pretty cool. Pretty much guaranteed sleep, I'd say. And Nightmare performs an attack that has a guaranteed chance to stun the target for 1 turn if the attack lands as a critical hit. Okay, so you want to go out on the crit, honestly. If I'd try to go as crazy with the crit as I could. The attack is also guaranteed as a critical hit if the target is asleep. Okay, that's a situational part of it. You know, if you have like an Ashubel, then what do you know? Great for you. Then you can build it differently. But otherwise, I would say if you want her to just be her self-serving single target nuker. By the way, this is like a 730% multiplier. It's even higher than Iran's. It hits hard. And it's a dark monster. That's the main thing that bought me over, is the fact that, oh, you hit somebody with this skill, that person, that monster champion is dead. Either that or it's getting stunned. Most likely dead. If not dead, then stunned. Guaranteed stun, basically, as long as she's critty. Now, I think that's absolutely that can be really great. I don't think she's amazing, but just off the fact that you can absolutely just delete a target, that still puts her in the usable category. And I kind of want to say she's a toy, but she's way less of a toy than Chami is, because she can actually do her job to a good extent. She's actually gonna nuke something out. And she's a dark monster that's doing it. And, you know, if she's not nuking something, then she's putting them to sleep for 2 turns. Great. And she's got the self-sustain to go with it. Alright. So, if I were to build Kamiya, I would say just absolute standard attack runes, you know. Same thing with Chami. Same thing with Soha. And probably same thing as Aran if you're building Aran for Guild Wars as well. Standard attack runes. Whenever I say standard attack runes, you should know what I mean. Fatal Rage and Blade, you know. YUCB uses this same exact. There's not really anything else to say about it. It's standard attack runes, you know. But yeah, if I were to get Kamiya, I definitely build it for Guild Wars. Ninetales, I think, are generally good, other than the white one, the light one. The rest all have, you know, they do their job, you know. They do their job well. I'm not going to say amazing. They're not game changers. None of them are game changers. But they all have a specific task. In Aran's case, multiple tasks. And they all do them to a T. They all do them exactly how you'd expect them to do them. Alright, anyways, that would be the end of Monster Analysis Episode 2. Our next episode is going to be on the fairies, actually. Because that was the second most voted one. I didn't get any votes on the YouTube comment section, so I just went around and asked people. And mostly heard Ninetales. After Ninetales, I heard fairies. So fairies will be next, and then in that video, I'll come up with, you know, a new 4 monsters to vote for. Probably the other 2 that I already had on the votes, and then 2 other new ones, you know. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. I hope to see you guys in the next Monster Analysis episode. It was fun.